Hey there folks, welcome to another Gran Turismo 7 650pp tryouts. In this tryouts I am doing the Unos Roadster NA 1989 with an RX-7 motor. Alright, so here's the things you can do to a Miata with an RX-7 motor, which is basically you can do all the interchange parts, but you can't do some of the engine parts though, which is interesting on that, because I think the stock RX-7 lets you do that maybe. But then again, that might be piston parts what I might have been looking at there. So there's like a couple things you can do, a couple things you can't do. But overall, basically, it's a Miata with the RX-7 motor, which, yeah, no weight reductions because this car is already light enough. You know, I even added weight to it because I think normally it's like 2,100 pounds. I mean, it's literally the freaking meme. It's like if anything's lighter than Miata, person's gonna say it. Yeah, but yep, this is basically what you can do to it, which is a bunch of things you can do to it. Turbo, or you could add supercharger. I think you add supercharger, or did the rotary took it out? The rotary might have took it out on that part. Because I recall the Miata being kind of both on that. Alright, so I can also do a wide body as well. And let's see about the customization parts. This is kind of what's there. You always, even on places prices, it struggles a little there a little bit. Yeah, you can customize it basically on any rim, and it has 14 inches. You can also wide offset if you really want to for stocks, surprisingly. And if you go to the custom side, you can add up to like 17 inches. It looks like for that size of rim. And then for the front, you can add a lip. You can also add a more race standard kind of lip too on top of it. And for the side skirts, you have the, like, I'd say street skirt or race skirt. Same goes. And then you got what looks like you can add a big old rear skirt to it. And for lastly, you have some kind of spoilers here. You got like a duck style spoiler, or you got a regular sports style spoiler, or you have the big old race style you can go with. But you know, for custom wheels. And then for hood pins, well, just put it like that, but it looks weird. Then you have tone angles. Oh yeah, I forgot to check the back when it comes to that too. My bad. Anyways, I mean, it's just a tone angle. So. And then you got the roll cage. You can add a big old roll cage around the car, which is probably a good thing to do in case the car ever rolls. But be kind of surprised, kind of not. Then again, yep. For standard lights, it's used the warm color, so I went with the warms. I went with the yellows. I kind of debated I probably should have went with the yellows, but yeah. For license plate, it's not bad for spots. You either have it on the side, or have it in the middle, or have a long middle one in the front. Where the rear just kind of looks the same. And then you can add, I assume, like air intake vents or something. I'm not sure what those was supposed to be. That was kind of weird. And then, of course, brake disc colors, and that is basically all you can really do to it. As there is no tire sticker walls or anything else. Now, here's the tune setup, which I mostly, I think, mess with the body height and the natural frequency, because when you do engine swaps, the cars behave much differently compared to a standard counterpart. Which, not surprised, you put was essentially a big beefy motor, or more beefier motor in the car, so the car's going to lift off, or feels like it's going to lift off on the rear now. That's all. So I did some lowering and other things like that, like the acceleration sensitivity and body height, then the spring frequency, then the downforce, But yeah, downforce, you gotta make sure that rear's stuck out pretty good, because if you don't, its short wheelbase will take too much of the matters on that. So yeah, as a result, you got a bit of an off-balance car, but it's not too bad at 52.48. So a bit more front heavy than the back. It's gonna affect those tires just a bit more. So the Mazda Miata or Uno Roadster or MX-5, if you're British, UK, or is this European? I'm not really sure. It's just this car has 3 different names. I call it the Miata because the Miata's got the most perfected name out of the 3. Uno's is a weird name to me, but that is the Japanese name to the car, and probably maybe the OG of it. MX-5 is kind of cool too, but it just follows the whole number code, which I don't like number code names very much. But Miata is the name I'm going to give this car at the end of the day, because this car is a fun little car as a standard. However, I stuck RX-7 in it, and basically your turn was essentially a balance car into a bit of a top-heavy, unstable little roadster at the end of the day, because roadsters like this ain't supposed to hold like 400 horsepower, otherwise they just freak out. I know tomorrow. So as a result, this car is a bit unwieldy to handle sometimes. As long as, however, there's like counters to it, you can lengthen the spoiler just a bit more and stuff like that. But I basically did it based on the tune setup, based on how fast I got around the track every time. So this was apparently the fastest way around the track for setup, or one of the fastest. I can't say it is fastest. So that's basically what I did for this tryout for this car at the end of it. So maneuverability, I will say when it comes to talk about maneuverability and handling, this car kind of lost that when it went with the Mazda RX-7 motor. So I would say 2 on handling and probably 2 on maneuverability. It's a bit of a wild track car at the end of it. Is it fast? Oh yeah, it's pretty fast. It's a bit pretty good for the standards it's provided. Considering I think he added the engine upgrades at the end of the day. So very interesting in that regard. So here's the basic first attempts of laps here, which by the way, that was the best lap for this I could do for this track. So that's how unwieldy this car is. 113.5. What does that be exactly? I believe it beat the Shelby, and I think it, or no, I believe it beat the X&R, and I think that's sadly about it, because I'm not surprised the handling is a big old detriment, but it did got on par with the Shelby and Integra at the end of it, so not too bad. About on par, I would say, as a result. Yeah, it's definitely like trade in more speed for acceleration and handling at the end of it when it came to tuning this car and such. So I would say loosely on that, because the speed's like not technically there, but it's kind of there. It's a bit abnormal for Miata to have to say. Yeah, now onto the balance track, which is where some of the speed's gonna shine, but not like crazy, I will say. Yeah, overall this car is just pretty balanced, but more top speed than the acceleration turning way it usually is. Which I'll explain more of the top speed once we get there, but for now just drive around the Forest Raceway. In terms of lore, this car is basically the most famous convertible car ever. like this car is technically still kind of produced to this day. Since 1989, I believe. So yeah, that's like. And I'm trying to calculate on the brain. My brain's stupid. About like I say 31 years? 36 years. 36 years this car has been out. That's insane. 36 years and this car is still kind of technically made to this day. A few changes here and there and model revisions. From the NA to the NB, NC to ND. Yeah, and then in terms of fame, the NA is technically one of the most famous ones. The MB is kind of my favorite because it's more wider body and gave the front more appearance. The problem about the NB is that it's also infamous because of the whole automatic transition they try to do for that one. And then the NC has a lack of design, but it is something to be desired to some people. And then you have the MD where it looks basically a upgrade from the first one in most ways. It looks like an upgrade, but I can't say if it really is. Yeah, now onto the big old straightaway here. 133.290. That isn't the best lap though, because I did do a better one eventually, considering in the tunings out I did the 132.5. It should do better. See, I just had to do this twice because for some reason did 133. It's like why did I do 133? Then I noticed the oil changed to yellow. It's like, oh crap, that could happen. I will say the oil definitely did not change beforehand. It just changed during this one because I checked it beforehand and such. It just like recently just changed that. Like, oh crap. That's what happens when the oil change. So yeah, make sure I have to make sure to oil change the car before going through these, or else the performance will get messed up. Because, yeah, even the oil, if it turns yellow, yeah, it will affect your performance. So you have to keep it green for some cars. So I would say this is one of the cars that kind of feels like it got affected, because at best I got 133 beforehand. Although I will admit, I didn't really swing around that first corner very well in that first attempt. But during this attempt, much better around the swings. So yeah, I gotta understand I need to like smooth brake that first corner up before there. Some learning curves you just gotta realize when it comes to turns and stuff. And D-force is one of them when it comes to the swing turns. That's why this track is still kind of attractive as that, sort of. Except for the whole revision for the fast turns there. But now onto Mount Panorama, which 132.6, which is not bad because I will admit that 132.5 was kind of a banger lamp, to be honest. So I'll just take the 132.6, and if you want to know what that beat, it did not beat the XNR. I'll tell you that much because that's where the XNR shined, surprisingly. What it did beat, though, of course, is the Integra, which... Or, wait, no, not the Integra. Oh, yeah, it did beat the Integra. Okay. Yeah, it beat the Integra, at least that. And it kind of makes sense, too, because I will say this car is very gas efficiency. You can do 3 laps with this. Or 3 laps of a monster with this. That's a good part. I will explain the lean factors once we get there, but yeah, for top speed, in case for those that wanted to know, it did like 192, and that's at tight gears, max rev basically, because it didn't want to have any higher top speed gears after that for some reason. I'm not sure why, it just didn't. Or better cuts of times and stuff. Yes, they don't want us after any more higher gears. They just want something right at that threshold. Because some cars do that. Some cars don't do that, but then there's some like this one that would. But yeah. But yeah, I gotta say, you think 400 horsepower is not a whole lot, but when you have a car that weighs like just a ton, it's pretty insane. Really. Yeah, it almost hits 200 miles per hour, which is freaking impressive. I will say, because I always kind of wonder what is the fastest what's supposed to say? What is the least amount of horsepower you can use to reach 200 miles per hour? I mean, I know the obvious saying, yeah, bike, but no, I'm referring to a car. I want to know the lightest car that can get to 200 miles per hour. And such. Yeah, that's the one I was curious of. And so far as I'm aware of, I think I know one car, which you'll probably be seeing this soon, or probably the next one after, I don't know. I know it's European though. But in case you're curious what it is the Alpine A110. I just know I max tuned that, and that thing can hit 200. I will say, just a note, it may have to have draft boost to do that. But it can definitely hit 200 upon the tuning I did. Which is shocking considering how much horsepower it has. Which is, I believe, like 313 horsepower, but it does weigh like 1,700 pounds or something like that. It weighs less than a ton, which is impressive. So yes, lighter than Miata, which I think I'm gonna go around, just find a car, and if it's just lighter than Miata, I'm gonna just go slap a decal on it. It's lighter than Miata. Yeah, that is a meme. That is a meme thing, because I've seen so many reviewers talked about it's lighter than Miata. Which is a good joke, because yeah, that basically tells you how light this car is and how fast this car is going to move at such minimal horsepower possible. Which is technically good, technically bad for risk potential. So in a head-on collision at 200 miles per hour with a car that weighs less than a ton. Think about it. Don't think, you're already dead, probably. I assumed at that point. That just sounds dangerous. But then again, I don't know the whole safety thing when it comes to that. But yeah, let's see around this turn, let's see how fast it goes. 211, 212, 213, and 214.909. Not bad. Not bad at all. Yeah, I'm not going to expect this car hit around the 212. No, that Ferrari is a champion, I will say. That Ferrari is definitely I'm starting to think it as an S tier anymore because of the fact you can do 3 laps, have high miles per hour, and it is a Dino. I love Dinos. So. Which I need to correct myself about something too, because I just realized a big old error I did on that Ferrari episode. I called the predecessor to the 308 the 308. It's not a 308. It's a 246 GT. And I forgot about that. Where then they went to 308 GT. Yeah, that car was the in between, and is considered one of the most ugliest Ferraris to some people, besides other Ferraris. Which, to be honest, I think I would probably still would love it still at the end of the day. I wouldn't care if it looked ugly. Sometimes the ugly car is one of the best cars. And you'd be surprised. But, I mean, speaking of what's famous about this car is its looks. It's just, you know, cute. It's cute, fun, little adorable roadster you can just drive, you know. It's what's kind of basically reinvented the roadster formula, which is ironic because what's it based off of, you'd be surprised because it's based off of was essentially what was apparently the first convertible, which was the Lotus Elon. The Elon Sprint. Which is also even more ironic to Lotus's case because they also tried to make an Elon convertible car. The problem is they fucked up immensely because they did the most bastardized thing you could ever do to a convertible. You made it an FF. What's the point of driving a convertible at that point? I'll tell you what, not much. And that's what started the whole whole infamy of FS is that FS are just not fun, which, you know, I kind of do agree here and there about it. Because I am a bit of a yes and no guy. If I see more yes, I will say yeah on that. If I see more no, then I'll say no. Yeah, here's what I can basically do overall for events and stuff, which mostly just murder most of the European, or not European, but Japanese cops and stuff. And you can just murder the turbo one while it. Now 700, it's gonna be like on par and such. And then I'm trying to figure out what else I could do here. You could technically do the historic car if you give it sports tires. Now, hypercar parade, that just depends if the Vulcan ain't being an ass. As the joke goes. Cause yeah, the other cars ain't real threat, it's the Vulcan. And then you got base your tournaments from the High Speed Ring Parade or something, I can't remember what it's called. The Asian Oceania Championship. And then the WTC 700, of course. Because my brain's just sharting. Real hard about this. Yeah, now on to the race, which I just recently did this earlier today. Well, I say today, probably technically yesterday once this is uploaded. Because yeah, I didn't really get all the footage right down there. I had to do one day that day, and another day that day. I've been tied up a lot of stuff and crap. Has to be out of the way for the my living, basically. But yeah, we're starting out lap 2 because this time they decided to do light rain for once instead of heavy rain. Thank God, it's so preset, it's bad. But it's still kind of rain, it's just light rain though, luckily. But yeah, as you can see, I can basically just do 3 laps with this car, which if I had to say, it's kind of weird on the whole lean setup. It's like, I would say in between 3 or 4 when it comes to this setup. Overall, I did pretty good because it got up to 6th position on the first lap. And then I think I did like a 2:18 on the timer, so not bad for in terms of medium difficulty. Now, would I say we would do this on hard difficulty? Very debatable. So, if anything, I'm just gonna overall just rank this as a C car because it kind of really just is a on par kind of car. It's like nothing really special in terms of department, but it is technically like a fun take on the Miata at the end of the day, and it allows the Miata to be in these higher cups. Because here's the thing about the Miata with a normal motor, it would not reach the 650. It would be too far off. It is kind of funny though. The touring car does though. At this point, or at this update, I should say. But as of where it stands, the regular Miata just can't do it. So I just used the RX-7 motor for this case, and you know, technically this is like maybe the first engine swap I done. So I just basically just throw the first engine swap kind of car, and this is one of them. Which is a Miata with the RX-7, or otherwise why I nickname it the Miata RX. I will say, yeah, in case you're wondering why I didn't do the decal, or why I didn't post a decal, because I don't think this is good enough, to be honest. It's something, but it's not really good enough. I don't find it interesting enough. I basically just need to go look up more old racing modifications from Miata and stuff. It's too bad someone doesn't go around just like showcase a bunch of pictures or just footage of like race cars that had this vinyl on this car at the end of the day. Because you always kind of wonder like what does it look like. Does that? Yeah, just showing all the competitions there. that K-Man. The WRX to an 86. So yeah, sometimes I feel a bit hasty on this. I apologize in advance about that. It's just how it is. Yeah, as you can see, the clouds are just climbing up right now. It's about to rain. Luckily, just light rain. You got that. Usually, it's always heavy rain. But in this case, you do not need to change your tires for this. I wouldn't recommend it anyways. You'll be burning them. Same tires are very specific of how wet the track needs to be. And if the lines are still covered in wetness. I say lines, we'll see it's like over time, like the lines would dry up throughout the race. It doesn't take long here for it to happen. Yeah, just look at the competition this far. Yeah, I would love it if they do more 30-minute endurance races. These are kind of fun to do. Which Gran Turismo was weird about that because at first they were going insane way back then of like 2 hours, 3 hours races. Those were incredible. I liked those. But which I will say that is the perfect threshold for any endurance race, just 2 or 3 hours. You don't need it that insane. Just enough to say that yeah, you were there, basically. And then, however, when it comes to like these later hour ones, which are later appearing like in Gran Turismo 5, which I recall like 12 hours into Tsukuba, I believe, or something like that. It was insane. Was it Fuji 1 or 2? I'm thinking. And then there's the 24 hours Nürburgring, which on Gran Turismo 5, which holy crap. Good luck doing that. You would have to like do 3 sessions if you're going 8 hours away about it, or 2 big sessions to deal with that. Because you basically got to get up, start it immediately, 12 hours right down the line, and then sleep for a good bit, and then come back to it. Although there probably is some daredevils that probably did in the day. I don't know what's with you. Do you not love your body? I wouldn't be surprised that affected you afterwards. Yeah, there's only so much you can sit your ass on to say, basically. Yeah, then we got Viper being either a pissy butt or he just did not brake good enough. I just tease him with the honkies. You mad, bro? You mad? He's getting passed by a Miata. You know, I did realize something when I looked at the comparison size between the Viper and the Miata side by side for a second there. I noticed the Viper's kind of similar in size to the Miata too. You can't say it's the same, but it's very similar. No regards. But yeah. So basically, the Miata is a rank suit to me with let's see what's the best way to say it. Steering 2, acceleration 2, maneuverability 2. I would say speed higher, like maybe at 4 stars, and fuel consumption of 5 stars. Because I will say, I think when it hits that 3 threshold, I consider that the best threshold. Any further is, well, you know what, 4 stars, because 3 is like the good standard. Because like I have a standard, and 4 stars is kind of the standard when it comes to that. Or the golden standard, I should say. Not just a standard, golden standard. 5 stars should be like something that's more insane, something that can do 4 laps, something like the Hurricane can do. Which is insane. Which, yeah, speaking of that Alpine A110, it can do that. Just to say. But more on that when we get to the Alpine A110. But yeah, we'll say it's definitely coming. And then, yeah, that's basically overall what I have to say about the Miata Roadster, besides being a fun little car with the RX-7. And, you know, I'm kind of surprised Mazda just never done that. Like, never had a rotary motor concept to the Miata. It's like, if you just can't make the RX-7, why not, you know, make a hardtop Miata with a rotary motor, or convertible Miata with the rotary motor? You know, just give it a twist to it, you know? Instead of just the regular engine, you can always have a higher performance version Miata on the side. That would be interesting, but that'll also be, I guess, too innovative or just too dumb for the sales factor. I don't know what's just better at the end of the day when it comes to that saying. Then again, rotary has always been the most controversial engine, so, you know, there's that to be said. I mean, if you don't have to stick to rotary, what about just one rotary? I mean, bring back the Cosmos, so like. And when I say the Cosmos, I mean the good Cosmos, not the one with the insane free rotary motor that turns out it wasn't that good at all and was too heavy. So, you know, people have tried and taken the 3 rotary motor and stuck it in the RX-7, so. Yeah, that basically wraps it up. What I have to say for the Miata Roadster. It's just a fun roadster with a twist with the RX-7, which I'm happy they did that, because that would be the engine swap I would think to give the Miata. The other engine swaps I could think of is give it a Ford motor, maybe something like Focus. I'm thinking that would be the other insane choices. But yeah, that's overall what I have to say about the Miata. So, till then, people, I'll see you guys next time. You guys take care, and I hope you enjoy what you watch for the rest of this. Till then, ciao.